Shalom. Shalom Akayams. First I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone who are leading this word in truth, in spirit and sincerity. And salutations to the righteous brothers on the highways and byways that are bringing out the word in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, in truth and in spirit and sincerity. Salutations to those brothers out there. Today's edification is called Stigma. Stigma 666, meaning to prick or to puncture. So we're going to go into stigma. We're going to go into the mark of the beast. We're going to keep talking about this because we are in those times now. We're heading to the mark of the beast. It's just round the corner, for lack of a better word. You know, it's here already. It's here. But when I say it's just round the corner, it's going to be there in great numbers globally. It's globally going to be out there in numbers. So the modern word for stigma. So we was looking at what's a modern word for stigma, right? Before I even read the scripture and bring it out for you, I was reading this earlier. The ancient penal history of stigma, right? That comes from the word kai stigma. Kai stigma is the Greek way of saying 666. So what does the word stigma mean? Kai stigma. What does it mean? What does stigma mean? So we're going to look into this in depth today, and we're going to show you a few clips to show you this is what we know through scripture, through biblical scripture, because there's no other book, there's no other so-called religious book out there that's speaking about the mark of the beast, that's speaking about the end times, that's prophesizing to you about what's going to happen in the last days and the things that we are experiencing and seeing with our own eyes. There's no other book out there. It's like the Bible says, this book, the scripture says that it shall not need its mate. There's no other book out there, none. No other book out there that speaks about the end times, that's speaking about the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, nothing. So we're going to look at the word stigma, and we're going to go and look at the word. We're going to show you why we understand and we know through biblical scripture, through biblical prophecy, what it is speaking of. It says the modern word stigma originates in a church of ancient Greek words. And remember, the Israelites were Hellenized, so they spoke Greek. So the Bible was translated from the Hebrew into the Greek because many Israelites were living in Greek lands, in Greek conquered lands, and spoke Greek and took on Greek customs. So they were Hellenized. Right? So that's a story for another day, but that's to do with the Israelite Gentiles that we always speak of. It says the modern word stigma originates in a church of ancient Greek words derived from the root stig, meaning to prick or to puncture. That's how we know what we're talking about, that this is the microchip, the RFID chip, which they're going to use for the needle. The delivery system is what they're going to use to prick and to puncture you, to put the mark in you, the charagma, to put the mark in you. So this is just so you can understand. So it's meaning to prick or to puncture. In essays, stigma means tattooing and the branding in the Greco-Roman antiquities, and stigma and tattoo, right? Classic scholar Christopher Jones transformed received understanding of the meaning of stigma in the Greco world, right? In the Greco-Roman world. Through meticulous research, Jones uncovered that in ancient Greece, the verb stizo was used to describe ink tattooing with needles. And that's what they're going to use to introduce the mark, is needles. Stigma is the delivery system for the mark of the beast, which is the needle. Remember, I'll just quickly show you. We say RFID chip implant. describing the delivery system, which is what you see here. The needle. The mark is the chip, that's the charagma. Stigma, that's the delivery system. All right? So he says here, so this is a professor that did this through meticulous research. Jones uncovered that in ancient Greece, the verb stitzo was used to describe ink tattooing with needles or other sharp implements on the human skin, and stigma described the resulting mark. In short, a stigma was an ink tattoo or involuntary tattoo pricked into human skin for penal and property purposes. Because this is what the mark is, the mark of the beast is going to be in modern times. This is what it represents. It represents the new system of ownership. Who is who? It's going to have your ID, it's going to have your digital wallet, it's going to have a GPS system on it, it's going to have your medical history on it, it's going to have everything to do with your life on that chip. Everything you do, everywhere you go, anything you buy, anything you sell, it's all going to be registered on that chip. And it's going to tell you who, just like it says there, it says for penal and property purposes, who you belong to, what organizations, what companies you belong to, what countries you belong to, what's your nationality. So no more people will be traveling on, like what you see, these refugees that are coming in and they don't know what countries they're really coming from, or if that's their real ages, or if that's their real nationality. They don't know nothing about their history. They rely on them to tell you. This chip is going to have all that information. This is why they're going to push it. It says, as Jones and others classic scholars have revealed, penal stigmatization was routine and entrenched in the ancient empires. So this is what the mark is. All right? This is what the mark of the beast is. This is what the stigma is. It's part of the delivery system that's going to provide the mark, which is the RFID chip. So, I'm going to quickly, so we know in Revelations, and we're going to start a little bit further up. We're going to start from verse 11. But before we start here, right, I'm going to quickly show you a quick video, 3-minute video of, this is a Christian church. Right, because I've said this before, that there are some Christian churches out there that do understand that the mark of the beast is the RFID, the microchipping of the RFID chip. Do understand that. They don't understand that America is Babylon the Great. They don't understand that Edom is a so-called white man. But what they do understand, in a lot of these Bible bashing, what they call in the Midwest belt and the Bible belt of America and Christian churches, they do understand, a lot of them do understand, and mostly in those Edomite churches, that the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. They do understand that. But what they won't accept, and I've said this before, is that Edom is the so-called white man. They won't accept that the Lord is not a so-called white man. And they won't accept that America is Babylon the Great, because that's where they're building their prosperity. That's where they're selling their prosperity Christianity, how America can be saved and go on and so forth. So they won't accept none of that. But what they have got on point, give credit where credit's due. This is what I say. You give credit where credit's due. It's all about truth and spirit and sincerity. What they do understand, the majority of those Bible Belt, especially, like I said, those so-called white man Bible Belt Midwestern churches, they do understand that the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. So this is one of those Christian organizations called Living Waters, all right? And this is a video that they put out last year. So I'm just going to play 3 minutes of it so you can see that this is exactly what we have been preaching for years. Like I said, some of the elders have been preaching this truth about the mark of the beast for decades. All right, so just listen carefully.
There are many biblical prophecies that prove beyond any doubt that the Bible is the inspired Word of God. Among these many prophecies are 2 verses in the book of Revelation, commonly referred to as the mark of the beast.
growing problems for customers who had their credit card information stolen while shopping at Target.
Another major retailer will be the victim of a cyber attack.
Michaels says about 2.6 million cards may have been affected.
Marriott says hackers managed to access the personal data of 500 million of its hotel guests.
MasterCard and Visa revealed today that customer data have been stolen.
Today, Barnes & Noble announced it has been the victim of a massive, sophisticated scheme targeting credit and debit cards.
Capital One suffering a massive hack attack involving 100 million customers.
Credit card fraud is now a $16 billion a year problem in the US alone.
Sweden set to become the world's first cashless society. I'm here to meet some of the thousands of people in the country who are adapting their own bodies. Hannah's getting an electronic chip implanted into her hand.
This is the first American company to ever try this. 1 week from today, many of the employees, including the CEO, will voluntarily have the microchips implanted into their bodies.
No keys or access cards, difficult to steal and copy.
You could buy your groceries with it.
Right, like an Apple Pay or something.
I can't believe you just paid with this hand. Like, you just literally put your hand up and you're good to go. Like, that's crazy.
You will be chipped, it's just a matter of time.
Back in 2004, the Manchurian Candidate suggested a future where humans are chipped and controlled. We have been warned.
He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
He foresees chips implanted not only in hands but in heads too.
Neuralink, which focuses on the goal of implanting chips into human brains.
And Elon Musk hopes to have the brain implant inside a patient's head by late next year.
The second prophecy to consider is that the Bible also said 2,000 years ago that the gospel will be preached to all nations. Matthew 24:14 said, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come."
And this is what we have been doing. How has this gospel been preached to the four ends of the world? It is through the actual internet. This is how it's been preached to the four corners of the world, is through the internet. Then will the end come. The Bible is the only book of prophecy that's out there. There's no other book that can lie side by side with the Bible when it comes to prophecy. Remember what the scripture says. Let's just quickly bring up this precept before we continue in here. Let's quickly find this here. Precept I'm going to find this here. Which I'm thinking of. Isaiah. Isaiah 34 verse 16. Seek you out of the book of the Lord Yahweh and read. None one of these shall fail. None of these prophecies in the Bible shall fail. None shall want her mate. None of these prophecies in the Bible will require another so-called religious book to verify and to prove what the Bible is saying is true. None. None of these prophecies shall want her mate. None of these scriptures will need another so-called religious book, whether it's from Islam, the Quran, or the Buddha's book, or whatever, will require to verify what's in this. For my mouth, it has commanded, said the Most High. His mouth has commanded through his angels, gave it to the prophets, and his spirit, it has gathered them. So right now, his spirit is gathering the prophets in the last days to preach to seek out of the book of the Lord and to preach this word. So, as you can see quite clearly, once again, that the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. Is the RFID chip, which they're going to use to control the populations, which they're going to use to be your new digital currencies, your new digital wallets are going to be in that RFID chip, your medical records, your birth certificates, your job history, your passport, your credit history, everything you buy and sell will go through that microchip. This is the beast system that's coming into play. So we're going to start here to give a little understanding when we say the beast. Who is the beast? Why is it called the mark of the beast? It's Revelations 13 verse 11 says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." Now this beast here that we're speaking of here is talking about Babylon the Great today. Esau Edom system today. This is what this is talking about. This is another beast coming up out of the earth. All right? This is the reincarnation of the 4th beast, which is the Roman Empire. So this is what this is talking about right now. When he says he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. All right? And causes the earth, that which dwell therein, to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So that beast, the Roman Empire, when it says that deadly wound was healed, that's when Esau Edom came back into Europe and started to bring in this whole new system, which they called democracy. This whole system that they put to the 4 corners of the world. Esau Edom coming back into their power. When they came from the Caucasus Mountains around the ending of the 13th century, beginning of the 14th century, they were coming back into Europe, coming back into power. So this was that deadly wound. That deadly wound was the wound of the Roman Empire, which went away, which was no longer a power for roughly 1,000 years. So that deadly wound was healed. That was like the beginnings of the Renaissance, the beginnings of the 14th century. When Esau Edom came back into power and brought in this system, this beast system that we live under today. And the mark of the beast system is the RFID chip. So when it says here, "And I beheld another beast coming up from out of the earth, and he had 2 horns." The 2 horns represents the 2-party systems that Esau Edom has put in globally. And its showcase of that 2-party system is the United States of America. The Democrats and the Republicans. That system comes from the ancient Roman Empire. They called them the plebeians, and I've got it out. I was looking at it earlier. I'll just quickly show you. It says here, "What were the political parties during the Roman Republic, and what were they like as compared to the modern day parties that we have today?" All right. It says, when Rome was established as a republic, there was 2 major political groups. First came the patricians, who ruled the Senate exclusively. Then emerged the plebeians. So those were the 2 political parties. The 2-party systems that we have today are based on the ancient Roman Empire, which was the 4th beast 2-party system. So then emerged the plebeians. The patricians were made up of the upper class. So you would kind of represent that with, if you're in America, that would be kind of like the Republicans. In England, that would be the Conservatives. All right? Every country, literally every country has a 2-party system, unless they were what we call a totalitarian or authoritarian government, like China or North Korea or Russia. But the majority of the world has the 2-party system that the beast introduced to the world during his colonization of the world. So it says, then emerged the plebeians. The patricians were made up of upper class, wealthy or landed individuals, so those that own loads of land, while the plebeians consisted of the lower classes. Kind of what you see today. You always see the Democrats in America always trying to cuddle what they call the lower class, the working class, the poor, always saying that that's who they represent. It's total bullshit, but that's what they say. In England, that would be the Labour Party. The Labour Party always say they represent the poor, the underprivileged, the ethnic minorities, the less advantaged and so forth. But it's total bullshit, because at the end of the day, there are two sides of the same coin. But that's the system that we have today, that the beast introduced, that literally all of the world operates under that beast system. Two-party system. And like I said, America is the showcase for that two-party system, the Democrats and the Republicans. So it says, while the plebeians consisted of the lower classes, so that would be the Democrats or the Labour Party in England. A third party was the equestrians, who were the growing merchant class. Eventually, as Rome grew in wealth as a power, the equestrians, that's a bloody tongue twister, that one, grew more dominant as well. Ultimately, the two political parties grew up out of these various groups. The Optimates, or what was essentially the patricians, and the equestrians combined versus the populares, which represented small merchant and the lower classes. The Optimates represent the interest of the wealthy, and the populares the interest of the poor. Democrat, Republic, Conservative, Labour, left, right. Two-party system that the beast introduced. An association could easily be made with the modern political parties in the US too, which what we just were speaking of. The association can be made with the modern political parties in the US to what the Republicans being the Optimates for the rich, that represented the rich parties, interest of the wealthy, that would be the Republicans. So they would represent the Optimates during the Roman Empire times, and the Democrats being the popularists. Rome evolved, which would mean the Democrats represented what we would call small interests, small merchants, the lower classes, the working class, the underprivileged, you know. So the Democrats represent being the popularists, which was the other ancient Roman party. Rome evolved into the emperor system. Eventually, Rome evolved into an emperor system, right? As Caesar was considered the first emperor, Julius Caesar of Rome. Rome evolved into an emperor system, which it became evident that the Senate was no longer effective and couldn't seem to do anything, couldn't get anything done. Does that not ring a bell in America today? That the Senate in America is no longer considered effective and gets very little done because there's so much infighting between the two parties. So it says here, a circumstance becoming more and more evident in the US governing system as well. Because ultimately, America, like the rest of the world, this is what they want. This is what globalization is about. It's about getting rid of these two-party systems that these so-called people introduced that made you believe in democracy. They want to move to a system that you see in China or North Korea or Russia, based on an authoritarian, totalitarian system. This is ultimately what they're looking to move to. This is what globalization is about. So, and you can see that as circumstances becoming more and more evident today in the US governing system as well, where they're moving. Trump said it himself the other day. He said, I'm the, he said, everything I say goes. He was literally calling himself the emperor. He was saying that no one can go against his executive order if he decides to lock down this state or lock down that state or open this state or open that state. He says he's the ultimate power. And he made that public statement the other day in the Rose Garden, in the White House, to the reporters. So he made that exact statement we're reading here. where he was basically saying, look, I'm the emperor. And I do believe that he's either the reincarnation of Nero or Herod the Great. Because he exalts that proudness of himself and his country. And he made that statement. So let's go back to Revelation. So it says there. So when it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns. That two horns represents the two-party systems that the beast introduced to the world. And remember, America is the daughter of the United Kingdom, which already had the two-party system in place, Conservatives and Labour. The 13 colonies were British colonies that were repatriated by the American Pilgrims for their independence during the 1776 War of Independence that finished in around, I think it was 1883, lasted for about 6 years. So that's what the two horns represent. It's like a lamb. And he spake as a dragon, and he spake as a dragon. And he does. America speaks as a dragon. Everyone fears the dragon. Everyone fears the United States of America's military might. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So, a little bit, just going to quickly, a little bit about the first beast, which is the fourth beast. When it says the first beast, it's speaking about the fourth beast in the book of Daniel. If we go to 11, 2nd Ezra chapter 11, to give you a little bit of background when we say what we know what we're talking about when we say it's the fourth beast. So this now, 2nd Ezra chapter 11 verse 39. So this is talking about the ancient Roman Empire. These scriptures, these precepts that I'm going to read you now, is talking about the beast, the fourth beast, which the book of Revelation is speaking about here. When he says he exercised the power of the first beast, that first beast he's talking about, that represents the fourth beast in the book of Daniel, which was the ancient Roman Empire, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast. That's why we live under a Roman Greco system today, whose deadly wound was healed. The deadly wound was healed. So that deadly wound that was healed was this wound here that it received. This was the in a sense the ending of the Roman Empire power as they knew it under the emperors. It says, art not thou it that remainest of the fourth beast, whom I made to reign in the world, which is the fourth beast of the book of Daniel, chapter 7, that the end of their times might come through them, that the end of their rulership might come through them. Because how did the Roman Empire fall apart? It was through, they ran out of money, they could no longer pay their soldiers and all the garrisons that they had, controlling all the countries around the world, and they, in a sense, they self-imploded, the Roman Empire. It says, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past and had power. So all the beasts that he overcame was the ones before him, because the Romans took down the Greeks. The Greeks took down the Persians, the Persian and the Medes. The Persian and the Medes had taken down the Babylonians. So he overcame all the beasts that were past, right? So those were the three beasts before him that had power over the world, right? With great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth, which was the known earth at the time, which much wicked oppression. That's how the Romans got into power. They used their army. They used their mighty Roman army to come into power. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. For the earth has thou not judged with truth. All right? Because it was with their military might that they used for their judgments, the Roman Empire. There was no truth in them, in what they were doing. Everything they were doing was out of expanding their power and their wealth by any means necessary. It says, for thou hast afflicted the meek, and that's what they did. Thou hast hurt the peaceable, that's what the Roman Empire did. Thou hast loved liars, and that's what they did. They always took on liars If they was going to leave you in charge to take tributary from you after they conquered your country, it would make sure it was people under their direction that there was a leaving power. But they would always have a Roman governor in place in those countries. Same thing what the British Empire did when they went and conquered. So it says, thou hast loved lies and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and has cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. That's what they did. They went into countries, they invaded country after country after country. This is what the fourth beast did. So it says, therefore is thy wrongful dealings come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. It says the highest also has looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended. So this was coming to the ending of the fourth beast. Right? This is the wound that was put on the fourth beast. This is the wound. So it says, behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. Because they had fulfilled what they were going to do according to prophecy, according to the fourth book of Daniel, in terms of them conquering and ruling the known world at the time for a certain amount of time. This was the Roman Empire being wounded. So when it speaks of here in Revelations, and it says here, when it says, and he causes the earth and them that which dwell therein to worship the first beast, which was the Roman Empire, which is the fourth beast of the book of Daniel, whose deadly wound was healed. So that deadly wound is what we're speaking of here. This is the deadly wound that the Roman Empire received. When it says here, the highest also has looked upon the proud times of the Roman Empire, and behold, they are ended. So that's the deadly wound that the Roman Empire received. And his abominations are fulfilled. So his abomination, his wickedness were fulfilled for that time. It says, and therefore appear no more. So he didn't appear no more. He disappeared. His power, he disappeared. Because now we went into the times when the Roman Empire disappeared, the rulership that came into power was the Byzantine Empire, sometimes known as the Holy Roman Empire, that was ruled by the Israelites, people of color. Esau, Edom was no longer in the power seat. They were no longer the Roman emperors. They no longer controlled. Because remember, the Roman Empire, when the Roman Empire became wounded, it went from being called the Roman Empire to the Holy Roman Empire. So it says, and therefore, and that's because it was the Israelites now that were now the emperors of Rome. So it says, and therefore appear no more thou eagle, which is the symbol of the Roman Empire, the eagle, nor thy horrible wings, which were the horrible wings were their emperors, the 12 emperors, leading all the way up to the last terrible emperor was Domitian, the son of Vespasian, the brother of Titus. That was the last of the so-called Edomites, Roman rulers, emperors. And then from that point onwards, the emperors were now people of color that came out of the nation of Israel. So it says, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers. So the wings and feathers represent the Roman emperors prior. Nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, that all the earth may be refreshed. See, this is when it died. And may return, and being delivered from thy violence. Remember what they used to do, the Romans? They used to line the streets with people on crucifixions, just to show you how terrible they were in terms of punishment. So it says that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. All right? So that's when the Roman Empire received its wound. That's when it was no longer being ruled and led by these wicked Edomite emperors. All right? This is when the Roman Empire went from being called the Roman Empire to the Holy Roman Empire. So let's go back to Revelations, just so you understand when it speaks of here. This is what that's speaking of. It says it exercises all power of the first beast. The first beast is the fourth beast in the book of Daniel. All right? And the fourth beast in the book of 2 Ezra chapter 11 and 12. So it says, And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. So this is what's happening now, whose deadly wound was healed. So that's when Esau Edom came out of the Caucasus Mountains, came back into Europe, and now was starting to take back Europe bit by bit under the Spanish and the Portuguese, which was Ferdinand and Isabella. King Ferdinand of Portugal and Queen Isabella of Spain, because that time they were regions. I forget what the actual regions were called, right, before they got married and united. That was them coming back into their power. It says, and he do his great wonders, so that he make his fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And that's talking about the 2 atom bombs that were dropped on the Japanese during the Second World War. Those were the great wonders that Esau Edom did. When he said he made fire to come down from heaven, those 2 fire, that fire was the atom bombs that the Americans dropped on the Japanese, Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War. Those were the great wonders that Esau was showing people. That's what made the Japanese give up. That's what made the Germans give up. And he says, and he deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. All right? So he had power to do that in the sight of the beast. Saying to them that dwell on the earth, because you've got to remember, the beast is Esau Edom. The beast is NATO, Euro, because you've got to remember, after the Second World War, they all came together under what they call the Treaty of Rome. And that's when the creation of NATO come together. Probably about 5-10 years after the treaty. The Treaty of Rome came together in 1957. So you have to ask why it's called the Treaty of Rome, because it's the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. And in 1957, all these European countries put together the Treaty of Rome. So when it says, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Because Europe is the beast. Europe is the beast. The beast is NATO. The head of NATO is the United States of America. They're one and the same, just so you understand. Esau Edom is Europe. Those are what we call your modern day Europeans. Those people that live in America, that run America, are so-called Europeans. Edomites. That's the beast's HQ. So it says here, saying to them that dwell on the earth, they should make an image of the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So that wound that the beast had by the sword was what we spoke of in 2 Ezra chapter 11. That wound was the Roman Empire that lost its power in the 1st century, the ending of the 1st century AD. The beginning of the 2nd century AD. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. So he had power. So when he came back into power, he now brought in all of the things, all of the customs to the Roman Empire. And one of the greatest customs that the Romans had was the 2-party system. Democrats, Republicans, Conservative, Labour. The 2-party system, the 2 horns. And all of the things to do with what we call the Renaissance. The word Renaissance means rebirth, renew. So if we look up the word Renaissance, what do we mean by Renaissance? The Renaissance was a period in Europe between the 14th century, just like I've been saying, and the 17th century, when there was a surge of interest in the production of art and literature. In the Old French, Renaissance means rebirth. That's when these Europeans came back into power. That was the rebirth. That's when everything in Europe was changed from black to white. It was a rebirth. They spent those 300 years changing everything to do with Europe. From the black leaders, from all of the images of the people of the Bible, they know they were so-called black people. They changed it from black to white. That was the rebirth of Esau, the beast, that came back into power. So it says, and he gave power to give life unto the image of the beast. So that started during the Renaissance. Giving power to life of the image of the beast, which was the rebirth, the Renaissance. That the image of the beast should both speak. How did it speak? with all of his philosophies, his ways, his system, his whole new system, his two-party system. He's changing all of the images in Europe from black to white, his power structure, his money system, his banking system. That was the rebirth of Esau. That's what the word Renaissance means in French, rebirth. That's when they came back into power. And it began between the 14th and 17th century. That's when they came out of the Caucasus Mountains back into Europe and took down the dark nations and became the powers. And by the 17th century, they were the ruling powers in all of Europe, the beast. And then the beast went to the Americas and colonized the America. And now it's called the United States of America. The beast took its system to Australia and took it away from the Aborigines and calls it Australia. The beast took its system to New Zealand, conquered there. It went to India and conquered India for hundreds of years. It took the West Indies. The beast took its system to the West Indies, conquered all of that, created all of its slave plantations. The beast took its system to Africa and colonized all of Africa. So the whole of the beast system went global through his colonization, through his power, through his rebirth. So it says here, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that power was his mighty armies, his navies, and its soldiers, and the image of the beast should both speak. That's what it did. That's why all these places worship white Jesus and that, because it changed everything. And caused them that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And anyone that didn't want to obey the system that Esau Edom brought into their countries when they did through colonization was killed. I mean, everyone knows or should know the history of Esau Edom when he colonized. When he went to the Americas, the Native American Indians did not want to accept the image, the philosophies, the ways of the so-called white man. So what did the beast do? He waged war against them and he killed them. He literally annihilated the Native American Indians, committed genocide in North America, South America, Canada, and the West Indies, and took over everything. That's what they did, because they didn't want to accept. The natives didn't want to accept the image. They didn't want to worship the image of the beast, which was his system. His whole system. Political, financial, philosophies, everything. He didn't want to accept it. So the beast went to war against the Native American Indians and killed them. When they went to Africa and colonized Africa, and the African nation and the tribes were waging war against them because they didn't want to accept the beast's system. They had their kings and their queens in different tribes that were ruling different villages and different countries and terrain and so forth. They didn't want it. So what did the beast do? He brought his army and he subdued them and killed them who he needed to kill, imprisoned who he needed to prison, and then took over the whole country and colonized all of Africa. That's why they speak English, Spanish, German, and Portuguese in Africa. Very few African countries, if any, but I can't really say off the top of my head, speak their own native languages. They either speak these four main languages conquered there: English, Spanish, Portuguese, and German. Same thing with South America. They now speak Spanish, Portuguese. Americans now speak English. Canada speaks French and English because the beast took its system and he subdued everyone there. And if you didn't want to obey or fall in line, he would kill you, just like it said here. When it says here, and he causes that as many that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's his system. The beast, like I say again, the beast is Esau Edom's system. The beast is NATO. NATO are your Edomite countries. The head of the beast today is the United States of America because they're the head of NATO. But it represents Esau's system, who Esau Edom is. They're one and the same. And it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor. So this is the stage that we're at now. He's done his colonization. He's conquered the whole world. But this is the stage that we are now with the beast. That he's going to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which is the microchip. So, and it says, and that no man might buy or sell. So this is what the beast, this is the next major part of the beast's plan, is to introduce the RFID microchip, which is going to replace every facet of your life. Your money, it's going to be a digital wallet, it's going to be your passport, your driving license, it's going to be your medical records, it's going to have your work history, everything you buy and sell is going to be on there. There's nowhere you're not going to go that the beast ain't going to know what you do. It's going to know every movement you make. It's going to track your every movement with the GPS on this RFID chip. So this is where we are now with the beast and the beast's system. That's why it's called the mark of the beast. The beast is Esau Edom's system. The beast also represents Esau Edom's NATO, his military might, because his military might is part of his system. That's what he uses when if you don't stay in line with what the beast is putting on you, he sends his military might of the beast over there to subdue you, to put you down. So we've seen that in Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. If you don't fall in line with the beast's system, he sends his military might of the beast over there to subdue you. So now we're at this part here. This is where we're at with the beast system today. And that no man might buy or sell, say he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, buy it. So why is it so? Why is the beast saying that you're going to need this thing to buy or sell? It's because, we'll show you another quick clip here so you can understand. It's a 2-minute video here.
When Elias Brodberger goes to work, he doesn't need ID. And he doesn't need money. In fact, much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
Like touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all in.
You hear that? It serves as his keys.
His ID, and his wallet.
It serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet. This is what the microchip's going to be. It's going to have everything to do with it. This is what it's going to... It'll start off with things like this. IDs, your keys, your wallet, your digital wallet. It'll have your job history. It'll know, because it's your digital wallet, it'll have information of everything that you buy or sell. It's got a GPS track on it so they can track you wherever you go. Every facet of your life will be monitored and tracked. It will have your medical records on it, history of your medical records. This is this mark that the beast is going to introduce to the world. This is where we're at now in the beast system. Esau Edom said, this is where we're at now with the beast system, is this mark. And when we look at the word mark, before we go back to that, when we look at the word mark, you know, we've gone over this many a times before. It says a stamp, an imprinted mark. Okay, that's what it's going to be. It's a stamp on an imprinted mark. And the word mark in the Greek means charagma. Charagma. It's a stamp or an imprinted mark.
5480. Charagma. Charagma.
And that stamp or imprinted mark is the actual chip. That's the imprinted mark. Stigma is the delivery system. Kai stigma. Stigma. Remember what we read here. Through meticulous research, Jones uncovered that in ancient Greek that the verb stizo was used to describe ink tattooing with needles or other sharp implements on human skin. Stigma describing the result or mark, right? It says here, in short, a stigma was an ink tattoo, involuntary tattoo pricked into human skin for penal or property purposes. Pricked. So that's the delivery system that's going to prick you. Mark is the chip itself. So let's quickly go back to what she was saying here.
And is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all in chips. I use it like to get around the building.
Buy snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's buy some snacks.
Exactly.
So I can't open it.
No.
Okay.
So what I need to do is I need to first blip my chip.
There you
and
go.
it will log me in. And from there, I get access to the fridge.
To buy
Popular
or to sell.
TV shows like Black Mirror have imagined chips as part of a dystopian future.
Install in-grain procedure with local anesthetic and you're good to go.
In Sweden, the microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards,
which have made cash pretty much obsolete in Sweden.
No cash.
At this tech fair, a chipping event for those on the cutting edge, merging their hands with this new technology.
I thought it would be fun, right?
The process is simple and swift. A pinch of the skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted.
There you go.
The transformation
That's the mark.
is complete. As for the pain,
I barely felt it.
but even in this nation of early adopters, not everyone is racing to get
Yeah,
chipped.
some people are going to refuse it.
I will feel like a robot. I think, so much more data can go into this, when it's in your body.
There's no central registry tracking how many people are chipped, but biohacker Hannah Swellblood estimates between 5 and 10,000.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
Human microchipping may be our future, but in Sweden, it's already reality.
Yeah.
Sarah Harmon, NBC News.
In Sweden, it's already a reality. So when we go back to the scriptures, and it says here, a stamp and an imprinted mark. The mark is not the system. The mark is not religion. The mark is not philosophy. The mark is the microchip. So when it says, and that no man might buy or sell, have he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. Why? For it is a number of a man, and his number is 666. So, when we look at the word Chi Stigma, 666, Chi Stigma, Chi Psi Stigma, we're going to go to the root meaning of this word.
Strong's G 5516. Chi Psi Stigma. Chi Psi Stigma.
Chi Psi Stigma. So let's go to the root of this word, stigma, what we was looking at earlier, what we was reading out early, when he says the modern word stigma originates in a clutch of ancient Greek words, delivered from the root stig, meaning to prick or puncture. Alright? So this is what it says here, meaning to prick or to puncture. And it was this guy here, Christopher Jones, is a scholar, Christopher Jones, right, who did a meticulous research himself, right, in 2000 to find out about what the word stigma really means. It comes from tattooing and branding in the Greco-Roman antiquity. So let's look at what the Bible says, what the root word stigma, what we were just saw, what does it say in the Bible?
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
Does it line up with what these scholars have discovered doing their meticulous research on this word? A mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. So this is it here. This is what they're going to use. This is what they're going to use to cut and prick into your body, to give you that mark, the karagma. Karagma. That is what the mark of the beast is. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. So when we go back here, once again, and he says here, and that no man might buy or sell, say he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So we just saw in the news report how it's a reality in Sweden, and the man that's promoting it over there saying that it will soon be a reality globally, worldwide, everywhere, he said. Then he said it will start off voluntarily. It may do start off voluntarily, but at some point it will become mandatory. When I say mandatory, is that you won't be able to get from A to B without having that mark, because you're going to need to use it to get into your minicabs, to get into your Ubers, to get into your life, what they call it, lift cars, to get into your taxis, to get into your public transport, trains or buses, to get into public office buildings, to maybe to buy the majority of the stuff in supermarkets and so forth, that you can maybe can no longer go to supermarkets to buy stuff because it's all, you have to have that mark to be able to buy or to sell. This is what the mark is. Now, like I said, a lot of people are waking up to this now because they're seeing this thing that's going on with the coronavirus vaccine. So it shook a lot of people's spirit, thinking, because people are thinking that maybe the vaccine is the mark. The vaccine ain't going to be the mark unless the chip is in the vaccine, which they could do through nanotechnology. We don't know because they have nanotechnology. But I say again, should you be taking the vaccine? Even if it doesn't have the mark in it? No. Why would you want to take something that's got all of these chemicals in it that they want to introduce into your body just so that they can stop you from getting the coronavirus? No, 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 no. Let your body, let your eating of your good food and so forth and so on deal with the coronavirus. You don't want to be taking vaccines of any sort. Simple as that. But that's what the mark is. The mark is the microchip. No ifs, no buts, no maybe. Now, we also understand through Revelations 16, I believe, or 15. Revelation 16 and 1, it says, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth. And the first went and poured out the vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. So this is a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast. So what is that noisome and grievous sore? Because a lot of people want to know that, you know, they're saying, you know, that mark will give you cancer and diseases and so forth and that. It absolutely can, because you're putting a foreign object into your body. A wound producing a discharge or pus, a sore and an ulcer. So many people will get sick from taking that mark as well. But it's ultimately to do with your salvation. To take that mark, you've got no chance of receiving salvation if you're of Israel. But that noisome sore is that a lot of people will die from illnesses, from having that foreign object injected into them that will happen to them. Simple as that. So I just really wanted to focus on these things today, to do with the mark of the beast, what it is, what is the word stigma, 666, what does the word 666 mean? Because you've got to remember 666 is also part of the electronic what's it called? Tags, the tag, goods. Tag it's called? No. This electronic strip. So here, let's quickly show you. It's also part of the barcode. That's what I'm looking for. The barcode on everything has 666. But the word chi stigma means, like we showed you here, means the word stigma originates in the clutch of the ancient Greek words to derive from the root stig, meaning to prick or to puncture. That's the delivery system, what they're going to use. But it's also on every electronic barcode. Is 6. Each one of these two lines equal the value of 6. 666. Every goods, anything that's got a barcode on it has this electronic tag this barcode on it, and it has 666. So every microchip will also have a barcode on it, so they know who's got what microchips, what microchips went where, what batches of them went to, whatever organizations and hospitals and doctors and so forth and so forth and that. So, but it is the actual delivery system. That's what they're going to use to prick or to puncture you, basically. So I just really wanted to get that across today, once again, to make you understand what we are dealing with. That the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. That's going to play a major part. And we are at that stage now where Esau is finding ways to introduce it bit by bit into different economies, different countries, before it goes global. Before they're going to create what we call like a black swan event. It's what we call, they call it a black swan event. This is what they're going to create. They're going to create a black swan event. Because, you could call this coronavirus a black swan event. But this could be considered a black swan event. But this is what they're going to create, Esau, to bring in the microchip. A black swan is an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potentially severe consequences. Black swan events are characterized by their extreme rarity, their severe impact, and the widespread insistence that were obvious in hindsight. So we could consider this coronavirus, what's going on, that's shut down the whole global economy, as a black swan event. And then Esau will create another black swan event that's going to bring in the digital currency that's going to allow them to start using the microchip. Or we could see a second wave of this current black swan event with the coronavirus that's going to get so terrible that they're going to say, well, the only way we're going to know who's been vaccinated and who's not is by microchipping the people. But they're going to create a black swan event to bring in the microchip globally. So all countries are going to have to start saying, well, we're going to have to use it, because they're putting in the technology for it. The 5G technology is being implemented everywhere around the world for them to bring in the microchip on a global basis. So we just got to look out for that next black swan event that Esau Edom's going to introduce to the world globally. But this is where we're at. We're at that stage now where the microchip now is going to be talking about. That's why they keep saying to people, oh, the money could have coronavirus on it and you could be passing the coronavirus from A to B, so forth, and this and this and that. They keep on spreading that rumor so people stop using cash, stop accepting cash. They want to get you more used to using cashless. But like I said, it's something we've been teaching for years. This ain't no overnight thing for us. Some of the brothers, the prophets that have been teaching this truth, have been teaching this microchip coming to pass for the last 20 years, 25 years. But you're going to see a lot of overnight so-called prophets or doomsday masters come and say, oh, it's the microchip, because all of a sudden it's rung a bell in their head and they can see it, which is fine, but you're going to see that. And that may be the only thing that they have on point that they'll understand. Just like the Christian church. They understand the Bible Belt, the Midwest Bible Belt, do understand that the mark of the beast is the microchip, but they don't understand and refuse to accept that Esau Edom is a so-called white man, or that Babylon the Great is America, and that the beast represents NATO, Europe, and America is the head of NATO, and the beast system is the reincarnation of the Roman Empire that runs today. They won't accept that, but they'll accept the mark of the beast is the microchip. So just so you understand, because they will still preach to you prosperity Christianity, how you can make it under this beast system, which is all going to come to an end once the beast goes from the microchip to World War III. Because the only thing that's going to come after the microchip on a global basis is going to be World War III. No ifs, no buts, no maybe. So, like I said before, so Isaiah 34, we can finish here where we started. 34 and 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and read. No one of these shall fail. No one of these prophecies in this book shall fail. The mark of the beast going globally shall not fail. It shall come to pass. And you're starting to see more and more people start taking this mark and using it in their daily lives. And at some point, it will go global. Something will happen that's going to cause many nations to say, look, we want to order, just like how they're ordering face masks. They say, oh, we need millions of face masks and this and that. Just like how you see countries all fighting over face masks, soon they're going to be fighting over getting the microchip. Because they're going to need it to be part of the beast's new system. So none of these prophecies in this Bible shall fail. And the mark of the beast is one of the last two major prophecies. You've got the World War III, and then the Lord coming in the chariots, what they call UFOs, to wage war and to deliver the elect. So none shall want her mate. This book, this Bible, shall not require any other so-called religious book to verify the prophecies and the truth of these scriptures. It doesn't need any other book. It does not want her mate. It doesn't need it at all. None of these prophecies shall require another so-called religious book to verify what this book is saying. Why? For my mouth it has commanded, because the Most High's mouth, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's mouth has commanded it. He gave it to his angels to give to the prophets. It's as simple as that. And his spirit, it has gathered them. So, on that note, I hope we're going to call it a day till we meet again. I pray this was an edifying lesson to the brothers and sisters that tuned in live, and for those of you that may tune in later. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai, Shalom Akayams until we meet again. Praise and glory to the